We are live and we are back. Let's go. I'm Corey, your host, one half of the Corey and Full Effect podcast, and I'm back like I never left with another installment of Money Mindset here on the Corey and Full Effect podcast. We discuss health and wealth, finance and fitness, and everything in between. And we want to make sure you save more and say less and keep making better your best. Yes. However, my coach Jordan and I started these money mindsets where we get straight to the financial information, no filler in between. And I know y'all see the topic of today's video. We're going to get back to them student loans. All right. Or lack thereof, should I say, because apparently, can you boycott student loans? I guess if this is your first time listening, student loans and joint bank accounts. Last episode, I believe, was on the joint bank accounts. But student loans is probably my number one topic. Debt is probably my number one topic as far as what I like to discuss. And then the type of debt would probably be student loan debt. Whenever we talk about student loans, I do my best to keep the episodes not too long. I found a shorter article. But we're going to talk about today, I guess people not paying, they still, I don't know. I haven't read the article. I don't read articles at a time. I'm interested to see what exactly they're talking about as far as people going to boycott your student loans. You haven't been paying the damn student loans since March 2020. God dang. I mean, they start back up and everyone's all upset. They did it 4 or 5 or 6 times, whatever the hell it was, about your student loans starting back up. And now when they finally do start back up, as we try to tell y'all, they're going to start back up, everybody's upset. But before we get into that, y'all know what to do. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithms. Make sure you leave those rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. My information, as well as my coach Jordan information, can be found in the description on YouTube. All right. Monthly card payment. Let me see where this tab is at. I don't believe the monthly card payment is still, it still hasn't got it. I need to add a note. This is supposed to be like quarterly that I do this. Oh, it says 700. It went up a little bit. It says $738. All right, I might have to look into that. I'm not supposed to do this every episode. I'm supposed to look into that. Whatever. And this is the 10th episode of Money Mindset. Time be flying. Again, shout out to the videos. They're still being released. Shout out to the fact that I missed Wednesday. My work, the day I go into the office switch now. So I had to get my schedule together for this week. This is the first week of me going in now on Monday instead of Thursday. So I had to get my life together this week. But shout out to Money Mindset. I don't got to drop this on Wednesdays now. Again, like I said, the out of context, I think, let me not tell y'all when I'm going to do it, but those videos definitely going to drop on Saturday as far as the full length version. And it's on my list to work on that. Still working on finishing, help my wife get this god dang on disability claim finished up for the VA. Any veterans out there, if you need help with your VA disability, look, I'm free of charge. I mean, because it's a lot of information and a lot of people be screwing y'all as far as how much they be making y'all pay for it, trying to take the whole damn back pay. I'll help you out for free. But regardless, I'm not accredited, nothing like that. But before we get started, last but not least, this is for entertainment purposes only. Myself, nor Jordan, or fitness or finance professionals. Anything you hear is for entertainment purposes only. You need to reach out to a professional and do your own research before taking any action. All right, let's get into it, y'all. I'm not even going to click on this tab. I mean, I am, but what's that, student loans? We're going to talk about student loans today. Yes, I know I'm talking fast. I'm hyped. All right, here we go. Boycotting student loans. And today might be a little bit biased because we're going to go over to Fox. I think this is Fox News or Fox Business. Let's see what it is. Fox Business. Here we go. Some student loan borrowers are boycotting payments, but the risk is high. I'd be damned if the risk is high not paying your student loans. Risk, it just says survey. I guess there was a survey about it. Did they take a survey to see if not paying your student loans would be a high risk? I could have told you that. Some struggling borrowers are unaware of student loan repayment options. Oh my God. This is why student loans take me forever to get through whenever we talk about them. This doesn't say that people graduated. And what half the people that go to college / take out student loan debt graduate. But in general, for people, not in general, but for people specifically who graduated and have a bachelor's degree or a bachelor's and a master's or a bachelor's and a master's and a doctorate or multiple masters and multiple doctorates, why do we keep giving them a pass on being uneducated on something? The people who have the most education as far as documented, not saying that they're smart, because all these degrees aren't worth something, but they have all of this education, all of this time spent to go into school, and we continue to give them a pass on being uneducated. I am dumbfounded by people who keep giving these type of people a pass. All right, this is by Nora Colomer. All right, sponsored by. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. Some student loan borrowers, look at how sad this person is. Some student loan borrowers refuse to pay debt, hoping it will send a message to the government. How much time? I be trying not to cuss. Nigga, what? What's it going to send a message to the government? If you want to send a message to the government, federal government here, you vote new people in. Oh, that makes too much. Again, the college educated people, maybe the people with the political science degrees would speak up and say, hey, y'all, if we want to get something, through to the government, not paying our student loans isn't the way. All right. Millions you can't bankrupt the student. I mean, the student loans are not bankruptable. So like they're going to be there essentially forever. You got to come disabled or you got to die. Those are the two main ways your student loans are going to go away / get forgiven, or you got to luck up and be in one of these, when I say random, just spur of the moment, like, okay, they canceled another couple $1 billion, $100 million in student loan debt. But it's probably a $2 trillion problem now. Hold on. Shout out to the one guy who said I always be going off track. When we talk about student loans, just pray that I can get through the article in less than an hour. We're saying 1.74 trillion in November of 2023. What is happening? Millions of pay y'all student loans. That's the summary of this article. I can end the episode now. Anyways, millions of borrowers have missed student loan payments since the October restart, even though y'all had a 3-month heads up on that. And about 1 in 10 are refusing to pay in hopes. Okay, 10% is not that bad. That's still a lot though. That's what? It's 40 million people with student loans, so 4 million. It will put pressure. So 4 million people are trying to put pressure on the federal government to cancel the outstanding debt. A recent survey, too many people are paying. This doesn't say 1 in 10 are paying. This says 1 in 10 are choosing not to pay. That's not enough. 10% is not. You need at least, past stuff. You need at least minimum of 50, but usually 66. You got to at least get half. You got to get a majority. Shout out to social media, which does do this, but social media gives the minority a majority voice. But now y'all are going off of social media and trying to bring that to real life. The minority is the minority for a reason. What? 6 in 10 student loan borrowers have missed payments, my goodness, after a 42-month payment pause. I keep telling you about that damn payment pause. That was the forgiveness. And to my knowledge, these 42 payments, these 42 months missed, they count towards 120 for the forgiveness that y'all be trying to get. This is by intelligent.com survey who did that. 25% have not made one payment since repayments resumed 3 months ago. Good God. Over a third. Are we just going to get, oh my goodness, over 1/3, 36% of borrowers who haven't made any payment said they plan to resume as soon as possible. What does that mean? You had 42 months off. You had a 3 month or so notice that they were going to start back up in October. But with the same number saying they are unsure when they'll resume payments. So 72% is just like, I don't know, but I plan on getting to it. Another 12% of these borrowers said they are using the Biden administration's on-ramp to student loan repayment, in which borrowers won't face penalties like having missed payments reported to credit bureaus until September 2024. Here's the thing. If the 42-month wasn't a long enough grace period, another year, essentially, as far as the on-ramp, that's not going to do it either. And to my knowledge, for the on-ramp, I believe the interest is still accruing. Let's be clear. When it comes to student loans, the issue is not that y'all missing these payments, so it's negatively impacting your credit score. If you're in a situation where you can't afford to make your student loan payments, you don't need no more debt. Therefore, your credit score is irrelevant. Except for the people who complain about, they're struggling to rent because of their credit score. No, you're struggling to find somewhere to rent because you don't got no money. Whatever. If you got a low credit score, but you can, do three months, pay your rents 3 months ahead, they're gonna let you rent to them. You can show proof of funds, but y'all don't got no funds to show. Y'all don't have no proof of funds because you don't got no funds to show. Y'all don't have any funds. You got to have money. Credit is not money. Credit shows you're good with other people's money. That's what credit. When I say good, as far as you being able to pay it back. Jesus Christ, my blood pressure's all high. I'm about to pass out. Anyways, while most borrowers have missed payments because they can't afford them, 9% have boycotted payments to pressure the government. This sounds crazy. 9% have boycotted payments to pressure the government into student debt cancellation. Y'all are insane. Most of these borrowers hope their efforts will bring attention to the student loan debt conversation. What? Let me read through the paragraph. However, borrowers who are intentionally missing student loan payments may be putting their credit at risk, according to Jake Hill, founder of the CEO of Debt Hammer. One word, the D and H in Debt Hammer is capitalized. Camel case. Is that camel case? Yeah. Yeah, it's camel case, I think. Yeah. Anyways, I want to be clear. 4 million people, unless this is like, everyone living in DC, like you have to be like in one place or like a majority vote in like one of these major cities. This, I'm so confused. They're saying the borrowers miss their payments because they can't afford them. 9% boycotted payments to pressure the government. Most of these borrowers hope their efforts will bring attention. There we go. Bring attention to the student loan debt conversation. How much damn attention needs to be brought to the student loan conversation? Y'all must not watch the Court and Full Effect podcast. We discuss health and wealth. We talk about student loans. I got a tab every episode. I talk about student loans. Every single episode when I say talk, just bring it up to make sure it's on everyone's mind about this terrible debacle of a student loan situation. I don't know how much more attention needs to be brought up on student loans. Maybe they're saying as far as a talking point for Trump and Biden, President Trump, President Biden for the upcoming election. But literally, one of the main points that President Biden ran on was student loan forgiveness. This is one of his biggest points. It might have probably wasn't his biggest one, but as far as getting voters to vote for him, it was probably one of his biggest talking points. Student loans were talked about since March 2020 up until June 2023. Over 3 years were student loans at top of mind as far as what's going on. Are they going to get forgiven? Not get forgiven? Who's going to get the forgiveness? And then finally, President Biden released what he wanted to do from forgiveness standpoint: $10K forgiven and $20K for people who I believe had the Pell Grant. All this type of stuff that was talked about up until June 2023, and then for the next 3 months or so up until October, when these student loan payments restarted in October 2023, student loans were a major deal. I don't know how much attention y'all want brought to it outside of the fact y'all want the damn student loans forgiven. What? And this, I'm confused. I don't know how often they ask these people, did they actually graduate? Right? You got student loan debt, or did you graduate and you have student loan debt? But my assumption is a good majority of these people there that took the survey have a degree, but they don't possess any critical thinking skills. I'm so confused. This is why I'm like, I don't know about the student loan forgiveness, because some of y'all just be like, damn, why you so dumb? Although the frustration, yes, Corey is frustrated. Although the frustration behind the student loan boycott is understandable, it's unlikely to lead to positive change, Hill said in a statement. No, it will not lead to. And shout out to Jake Hill, founder and CEO of Debt Hammer, saying that borrowers who are intentionally missing student loan payments may be putting their credit at risk. No, if you miss payments to debt, you are putting your credit at risk. It's not a may. It's not a may. On-time payments is rated the highest as far as the weight when it comes to your credit score. FICO, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, on-time payments is the highest weighting. So don't miss no payments. If you've never missed a payment and you got a low credit score, it's because you might have a lot of derogatory marks, right? Things like that, stuff in collections. But it's because you have a high utilization rate. If you have a low utilization rate, but you have a really low credit score, it's because you be missing payments. What the hell? Y'all can't be missing payments. I say, y'all can't be missing payments. I'm gonna have to clip that. Anyways, frustration behind student loans is understandable, sure. It's not like, no positive change, Hill said. Instead, it will destroy the credit scores of those who choose to participate. This may not seem like a major issue in the short term, but failing to pay your student loans can make it more difficult to obtain funding for future purchases. Why do you need funding for future purchases if you can't pay your past purchases? Okay? Let's break this down. Student loans are debt. Loan is debt. Loans are debt. However you want to phrase it. These people are struggling to make their current debt payments. Why then are we talking about them in the future as far as their credit score being able to take out more debt if they can't make their current debt payments? That's why your credit score that's the one benefit of a credit score, is that, hey, it shows us in short your ability to pay back debt or keep your debt low. I mean, that's why it's out here. So we're saying, hey, this person is struggling to pay for debt. However, since they're struggling to pay for debt, it's going to negatively impact their ability to take out debt in the future, as it should. That's the whole point of the score. That's why it's historical. This shout out to Jake Hill, founder and CEO of Debt Hammer. Like, bro, what? You don't need funding for future purchases if you can't pay back the funding you got for your past purchases. Like, For example, if you default on your student loans, you'll be unable to attain most mortgages, which will derail any plans you had to purchase a home. Well, yeah. Here's the thing. If you got all this student loan debt, in theory, not for everybody, the theory, though, is that you went and got this education and debt was attached to it so that you can earn income to create the future that you wanted. In short, now everybody did that, but to simplify the conversation, so this episode isn't 300 hours. However, you can only have to be 24. It allows us to stream. Anyways, however, now you're in a situation clearly where you can't make the payments or get ahead financially, or however you want to phrase it. And now we're worried about how that's going to derail you. It's like, yes, these are people who went to college. Okay. This is like middle school level critical thinking. If Johnny has 3 apples, okay, and he needs to pay somebody for these 3 apples, but he can't do that, Johnny might not be able to get some more apples in the future. And now we're not talking about apples. Now Johnny wants a whole lemonade stand, right? Student loans to a mortgage. It's like, Johnny just need to pay back these apples. Why are you worried about the lemonade stand? Some people, not a lot percentage wise, but there are people out there whose student loans, just from a dollar amount standpoint, are a mortgage. Then they go and get a mortgage. Shout out to those people. But it's like, my God, where's Dave at? I keep saying I need to redo my books. I realized my camera was tilted to the side too much. The student loan situation shows the level of insanity and lack of critical thinking, at least people say publicly in these articles, of the American people. And these, in theory, should be our most educated people. At least they are most educated people from a attainment standpoint. But reading these articles with student loans, it just shows why people won't pay them off. It's because you're not thinking logically about the situation. And then you're so concerned about your future. Why are you concerned about your future now? And again, I give people a grace who just have your bachelor's. Master's and doctorate, no forgiveness. Because then you lose the ability to say you were ignorant. You're coming out of high school, you had all this pressure for you, you were a minor. And you lose the ability to say you weren't college educated. You got a master's and or a doctorate. You already have a bachelor's. I need to take a pause so I can catch my breath. You don't need to buy no home if you got all this student loan debt. Shout out to baby steps 1, 2, and 3. If you're having trouble making payments on your private student loans, you won't benefit from federal relief. Yes, if you didn't know that, because the federal student loans will be considered public, you could consider refinancing your loans for a lower interest rate to lower your monthly payment. Oh, that's all. That's all. That's an ad. Anyways, resuming payments is a challenge for most. Remember, I got a degree in computer science. Don't press me on my ability to read. All right. Anyways, the restart of student loan payments has been hard on 94. Everyone has had an issue with student loan payments restarting. That's crazy. 94% is so high. 94% of borrowers who have met all or some of the monthly obligations, the survey said. Over half, 58% of those borrowers have had to trim spending on entertainment, leisure, and hobbies. We talked about this on, I believe, the last student loan episode. I'm confused. You didn't have student loan payments in your budget. That's why we talk about the budget. First thing I recommend is the budget. $500, let's say, is your student loan payment. March 2020 happens, panorama, and now those $500, instead of continue to put towards your student loan, you put it and disperse it to other places in your budget, i.e. spending on entertainment, leisure, and hobbies. Now your student loans start back up after 42 months, right? It's going to start back up. It's going to get forgiveness, whatever it is. Hey, they about to start back up, like real talk now. And now everyone's like, oh my God, I can't cut back. No, you should have never increased your lifestyle. That's why I talk about that article, which I never went over, but I read through, showing how when the forgiveness or the forbearance, not forgiveness, the forbearance happened that President Trump put into place at the start of the panorama, it put people in a worse situation as far as what they did since they didn't have that student loan minimum payment now. They went into more debt. Majority of people did. Jesus Christ. It says 52% are working more hours at their primary job or have picked up a side gig to afford the extra cost. You're not working more at your primary job, you get paid salary. That's hourly people. Moreover, 42% of student borrowers said they've delayed plans to make big purchases like buying a home or car purchase because of student loans. Yeah, I can't pay off my current debt, so I'm not going into more debt. Good job. Highly recommend you consider doing that. Another 39% are saying less in general savings accounts. They're saving less, in general savings accounts or retirement funds, and the same have reduced spending on household essentials like groceries and utilities. No, don't decrease how much you're spending on groceries. And when I say decrease, like, spend what you need to spend. No, don't just leave all the lights on and stuff like that and buy food you're not going to eat. But groceries and utilities are at the top of the list as far as things that you pay for. That if you're cutting groceries and utilities before zeroing out, not cutting, right? I want to be clear when I say cutting, but zeroing out, meaning no spending on things like entertainment or even retirement. And this is why, again, I always say this: I can't knock people not putting money into their retirement as far as what the Ramsey Network recommends, because people are choosing to not eat or not have maintenance on their vehicles for retirement. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to pull out the retirement anyway. Like, just secure yourself now. When I say it's a luxury, like, you got to work to be in a position to put money into your retirement. You got to solidify and stabilize your foundational needs for as far as what you spend money on first. And groceries and utilities are part of those foundational needs. Shout out to the financial house. My goodness. I understand many people are facing challenges as student loan payment pause are ended. Andy Chang, founder of the Credit Review, said, however, even before somebody's credit score, why are they talking about y'all credit score so much? Isn't it that y'all worry so much about y'all credit score? It's vital to make payments, if at all possible, to avoid falling into debt distress long term. I don't know what the hell debt distress is, like, if that's an actual technical term. I would say debt distress is redundant. Anyways, missing payments can significantly hurt the borrower's finances by raising the total interest paid and extending the repayment term. Yes, that's one of the reasons you don't want to miss these payments, is because you're going to have more interest racked up, and it's going to take longer for you to pay it off. Or you might be a negative and you may never pay it off. My goodness. If you got private student loans again, all right, just same ad again. My goodness. How much more we got? All right, we almost done. Millions of borrowers have had debt forgiven. All right, nearly half, 40% of borrowers struggling to meet their student debt repayments don't know about the income-driven repayment options, such as saving on a valuable to save plan that could help lower their monthly obligations, the survey says. See, that's the issue. People are not looking, these college-educated people, on how much interest they either have outstanding or is accruing. So even though they go into these income-driven repayment options, yes, now they can, literally afford to make the minimum payment into their budget. But talking about the long term, right? In the short term, they're taking the short fix. But over a long term, not even long term, just the next payment you make, now your minimum payment is not even satisfying the interest that's accruing. And I forget the one plan that is, so many different plans out here, where if your minimum payment doesn't satisfy the interest that has accrued, then the interest just goes away. So you got a $100 minimum payment, and let's say interest is $150. So make your $100 minimum payment, you satisfy your minimum payment, right? You don't get behind on your payments, but that $50 in interest, just like a normal loan, is still sitting there, and then that compounds. So the next time that interest gets charged on top of interest, but the wrong way, negative amortization loan, or negative am loan, as I say. It compounds the wrong way, just like, it compounds in your favor as far as the stock market, right? Your interest isn't making you interest. However, with that, your principal balance never goes down. You have to satisfy all the interest that accrues and is outstanding. And then anything that you have left over from that payment goes towards the principal. You got to pay down the principal. What is going on with this? People are not paying down the principal with that type of option as far as income driven repayment options. And so your student loan balance is never going to decrease. And I think after maybe another 10 years or something like that, then they might forgive it. But it's like, waiting 10 years is crazy. This is the thing that I've been out of college, coming up on 9 years in May. Not high school, but college. Shout out to 93 babies out there. So for me, what was it? So high school is coming up on 13 years in June. Like, I couldn't imagine. Like, if I would have paid off my student loans at the rate as far as making the minimum payments, I believe I was scheduled to pay them off in 2022, and then the other one in 2023 is two technically separate student loans and separate payments. And I paid off all my student loan debt in September 2019. I couldn't imagine, and this is again pre-pandemic. That's why I recommend you to do it as fast as possible. Because who could have ever predicted, when I was focused on paying off my debt in late 2017, early 2018, that no one was thinking a pandemic was going to happen? Whatever, y'all. Borrowers grappling with student loan repayment should explore income-driven plans. No, you need to increase your income and aggressively pay off this daggone debt. Loan forgiveness programs, no. And loan consolidation as possible strategies for managing their debt. Some of you might need to do consolidation. It might just make it just from a tracking standpoint. You might have multiple different payments that you have because you got different loans all over the place, but it can lower interest rate. Eric, founder and CEO, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, of Admissions Site, said in the statement, income-driven repayment plans, which align monthly payments with income level, might provide a more feasible payment amount. I digress. As many as 6.9 million borrowers have already enrolled in the SAVE, maybe this is the SAVE plan that I was just talking about, as early as January, with more than 3.5 million receiving at least 130 billion in student loan relief. You know, the crazy thing is, I see all this forgiveness that's going on in the hundreds of millions or even $130 billion. All this forgiveness that occurs. And I don't see the total student loan debt going down. Let you know how much interest there is. Just think, if when you see these forgiveness like 130 billion in student loan relief, all these different type of forgiveness things that are hitting certain, segments of people who have student loan debt, but the balance is not decreasing overall. It's still sitting at 1.7 trillion. We forgave 130 billion dollars in student loans. That means now it should be 1.6 or 1.5 trillion instead of 1.7 trillion as far as student loan debt. But the interest might be more than what they're forgiving, which I wouldn't be, interest on $1.7 trillion. I mean, probably something that's pretty crazy. Starting next month, borrowers with as few as 10 years of payments who initially took out $12,000 or less for college will have their remaining debt zeroed. Borrowers must be enrolled in the Saving on Valuable Save plan to qualify. Still 10 years to pay off $12,000. Crazy. That's nasty work, as that guy on TikTok from New York is saying. That's nasty work. That is unreal. It is unreal to talk about paying off $12,000 in 10 years. You can't do $1,000 a year? Excuse me, not $1,000 a year. $100 a month? $100 a month put you at $1,200. Okay, that's 10 years right there. So you anything over $100 is too much for you. I'm literally like tired, y'all. Like all that screaming and yelling I did. I feel like I'm about to pass out. I'm not, but it's like, woo. All right. As we wrap up, borrowers who attended community colleges will be most impacted since these students typically borrow smaller amounts. True and good. The department estimates that the SAVE plan will make 85% of future community college borrowers debt-free within 10 years. Crazy. 10 years to forgive $12,000. I'll be damned. You should be able to pay all $12K in a year. Like, unless you got a whole bunch of kids or significant medical situation, you got so much other debt that is more than this. But $12,000, there's only 11 quote unquote more options, 11,000, 10,000, 9,000, all the way down to 1,000. That would be more of a focus if you do the debt snowball. But $12,000 a year, 2 years max. And I'm just being gracious to, all right, $6,000 a year, $500 a month. I just be gracious with you. Because remember, you already got the payment, the minimum payment, unless you put yourself in a position where you do these income-driven repayment options and you lower your minimum payment, right? And so your minimum payments aren't really that much as far as the snowball that's going towards your debt because your minimum payments are so low. And so since you're struggling living paycheck to paycheck, it's hard to find that wiggle room or that extra money to go towards your debt because you're choosing not to cut other places. And most people, they just need to cut. If you're struggling to afford to pay your private student loans, again, another ad, god dang. That's it, y'all. Excuse me, but that's it, y'all. Locked and loaded again. Some student loan borrowers are boycotting payments, but the risk is high. Survey again by Nora Comer. This is again on Fox Business. All right, y'all. Look, first thing I recommend, right? Necessities, debt payments, investments, lifestyle. Get on a budget. The student loan situation at its genesis, as far as myself and most other people I know, all the pressure just to go to college and then everybody's taking out student loans. No true education on it, right? But I don't think you should get a pass on it. I'm somebody that, math and numbers and finance and things like that don't scare me. I love working with that type of stuff. So, but even I didn't even do the research So that's why I give people a pass from a bachelor standpoint, and for the fact that most of us were minors, right? I was still 17 because I got a late birthday in September. I was still 17 when I went to college. I wasn't even legally quote unquote an adult. Yes, I wasn't 18 yet. I understand that foundationally, student loans is just wacky. Everything's screwy. It's terrible. However, what's not going to happen, highly unlikely, is that the student loans are forgiven by the federal government. You would have to vote so many people into office to get this passed. I mean, it's just that simple. For those of you whose student loans is less than your gross, you should be doing everything you can to pay off that student loan debt. Whether it's taking an extra job. For those, if you don't have kids, I know people who are married without kids have the most student loan debt. That's an article that I did on that. But we can't continue just to not address the issue and solve the problem. Student loans, for most people that I've seen, is in that 50 or so K range. And it's even, for me, it was less than that, but that's just when I aggressively paid off. I know for a fact I had more than 50K in student loans, but I was just paying on it, and then I was like, oh, I need to pay this off. I got $35,000. Let me pay this off real quick. 32, something crazy. And I feel for people when just from a budget standpoint, there is no room. However, at some point in time, you have to make the decision to take control of your life. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. And when you're asking other people, right, you want the federal government, which is by definition, you want politicians. So you're asking everybody in America to help you. Half these people are not on your side. And that's just generally when you look at the numbers. Half the people are on the left, half the people are on the right. Okay, and the people on the right don't want this. And you usually need 66%, to get this passed. You got to, get some of those people on the right to see your side. The federal government in mass, the mass forgiveness that the Biden administration is talking about, that 10K or 20K for Pell Grant, that's not going to get, Supreme Court already said it's not legal. That's not happening. You'll see these small ones here and there. But again, like I said, the interest probably is interest is crazy on these student loans, and people continue taking out the student loan debt, and college tuition continue to go up. My guess is the interest on the student loans plus people continue to take out student loan debt. That is more than what the government is forgiving when you see 130 billion, or when you see hundreds of millions. If it's not in the billions, it's not doing a dent at all. A few hundred million is cool. I would say, let me see if I can find it what the average student loan interest rate is. It's not something for 2023. It's going to give me a recent one. This is including federal and private loans at 6.8%. So we're talking about, let's just call it 5%, right, on 1.5 trillion. Okay, that's 75. All right, so what is that? That's 750 million. Yeah, 750 million. 750 million in interest on top of what people are taking out. Y'all need to sit down and pay off these student loans. They're not going anywhere. And for my generation, since we're the first ones with, being on social media and complaining about this stuff, even Gen X, baby boomers, they got student loans as well, and or Parent Plus loans. But what it's going to look like for millennials who choose not to pay off, because it is your choice, who are, regardless of why you have to choose to do this, you might not have the money, whatever it is, you choose not to work more, however you want to phrase it. But in short, if you're not going to pay off your student loans, you're a millennial, so you're late 20s, early 30s, I believe now. Yeah, you're in your late 20s, 28, 29. In 10 years, you're going to wish you had them student loans paid off. The one thing I try to tell people, yes, you're still young in your 20s, your 30s, even your 40s is still young, but the age that people will die is 80. So 40 is like the halfway point. And your life is going to get more and more complicated. Kids, right? Then your parents are going to get, their health is going to decline. Then your health is declining not as much as your parents, but your kids are getting older. You're going to spend more money on your kids. Then at some point in time, I know people might not think about this, but your kids are probably going to have kids, right? Then you're going to have grandkids. Like, it's going to be so much stuff that is compounding as far as your life that is outside of your control, just because people that are close to you that and love, their life is continuing to expound as well. It's like when you're late 20s, early 30s, everybody's having kids and getting married and buying houses. Like, you're just doing all this stuff. Everybody's doing the same thing at the same time. And eventually you're going to be in that point where you're in the sandwich generation. And then you're going to transition from the sandwich generation to being where your parents are. And this debt, from a student loan perspective, needs to be gone. At least you can sell your car, right? You can sell your car. At least if credit cards go in collection, they can't come and take stuff. They can, you might end up garnishing your wages, so they can't take stuff. But it's unsecured debt. People who choose not to address their student loan situation and seek help and doing these income-driven based repayment plans or trying to get in some type of forgiveness, that is not the help that y'all need. Y'all need to sit down with someone who can help you lock in on your budget and see what you need to do as far as increasing your income. And then for those of you who have children or single parents out there, even more so, you need to sit down with someone so they can help you see the relationships you have. And when I say hope, in theory, there should be someone out there who you trust. You should be able to watch your children for free, right? I mean, I see all these people that y'all post on the internet that y'all be traveling and spending all this money on, going on vacation on, that you could be spending on your student loans or paying them down some. And none of them people that you trust to watch your kid, but you trust to get intoxicated with. If you need support, you need to figure out how to ask for that support. But then again, when somebody's watching your kid, you need to put in that work to actually go to work. And then you need to actually put in the work as far as a budgeting and finance management standpoint to put the extra money you're making towards your student loan debt. And that's the part that people aren't willing to do. They're not going to hold themselves accountable. And then people are going to look at you like, dang, I'm watching your kid. I'm trying to help you out. And then you're not paying off your debt. Like, what's going on? Like, I'll watch your kid every now and then, but if you're telling me you're trying to do this, I need you to hold up your end of the bargain. I'll say bargain, but your end of the deal, should I say, agreement, however you want to look at it. Arrangement. Let's say arrangement. All right. That's it, y'all. Locked and loaded. End of the episode. Make sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Please leave those rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. My information, as well as my co-host Jordan information, can be found in the description. I'm sideline_Corey for your financial help. Jordan is Stop Stalling J for your fitness help. And then his business page is finallyfit.live. That's where you can go to sign up for the Monday and Wednesday, 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time virtual training sessions with Jordan. All right. Again, if y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, please let us know. Again, continue to run up the numbers. We appreciate y'all. We'll always do my best to say that. And I'm going to get working on that, taking out of context stuff. We can get to the social media information. All right. That's it, y'all. Remember to save more and say less. Keep making better your best. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.